Okay, well, I wanted to do a quick reading while my husband is inside the physical therapy facility. I came across an article that asked a few questions of the readers about how the social distancing and all of that is affecting us, and it was talking about how it's unlikely that we will go back to quote-unquote normal for quite some time after this coronavirus situation is done, and there's no telling when it's going to be done. And he posed some questions in the article that I thought would make a very good reading. So I thought I would do an experiment on myself. And I thought there are 4 questions about how the coronavirus is affecting us. And the questions that were posed, the first one was, how are these days renovating me? I wrote them down in a notebook. How are these days renovating me? What new thoughts am I thinking? What old wounds and fears are resurfacing? How am I different than I was a few weeks ago? And I thought I would shuffle my cards. I used the new Palladini Tarot today, and I turned up certain ones. How are these days renovating me? I got the Ten of Rods reversed. Okay, so there's that. Like I said, this is the new Palladini deck. What new thoughts am I thinking? I got the Ten of Swords. Isn't that interesting? What old wounds and fears are resurfacing? I got the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. Okay. And how am I different than I was a few weeks ago? I got the Lover's card. So let's take a look at that. How are these days renovating me? The Ten of Rods in reverse, to me, tells me that I have been able to set down a certain amount of burden because I'm on furlough. That just makes sense to me. So I'm taking some time to not worry about tasks that need to be done and work that needs to be done. I can take a break for a little while. And that is serving to help me mentally rejuvenate. And I have to admit that using my new meditation bench and cushions are very helpful on that level. So that's really cool. What new thoughts am I thinking? I got the Ten of Swords. And the Ten of Swords, what new thoughts am I thinking? Destruction. Basically, in a way, yes, I have to admit, there have been those thoughts of it's all done and over. However, with the Ten of Swords card, with this particular card from this deck, there is a little moon there in the sky, and so that to me says, speaks of timing, okay? When I interpret this card, I look at that saying, well, the time has come for one thing to end. It's done. But what that means is the cycle will start new because the moon has phases. The moon just doesn't stop at a certain phase. It goes into its new moon, dark moon phase, and then it starts to wane, and then it reaches a full, and then it starts to wax, it reaches a full. I got that backwards. And yeah, it just goes through these cyclical phases. And I think that's how I've kind of been looking at it. So the Ten of Swords is not as catastrophic, I think, as a lot of people think. I mean, it can be pretty sad, but to me, the presence of the moon on the card indicates the time will come for, I'll use the word resurrection. Sometimes I hesitate to use that word. I know it does have some religious baggage that some people may not appreciate, they may not feel comfortable with, but I think it's suitable. I think it does speak of that, a renewal period. What old wounds and fears are resurfacing? Now, I got the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. I think to me, what this is saying about my old wounds and fears, I feel like I'm headed for a setback, okay? And part of the reason for that is the fact that I happen to be 50 years old, and if I have to re-enter the workforce, that's going to be very difficult. Older people re-entering the workforce, it can be a little tricky because let's face it, there are companies out there who are not all that keen, not too keen on hiring older people, because number one, they think they're a health insurance risk. I do have diabetes, for example. That may mean additional expenses in terms of, health insurance. It just depends. I mean, it's not a carved in stone thing. It depends on where you go and who you talk to. But this is an old wound and a fear that is coming up that I feel like I may have to start from scratch, that all the progress I have made so far is just going to be wasted. Okay, to me, that's what the Wheel of Fortune is saying, that the wheel is going to turn, and it's going to turn not in my favor as an older American adult. As far as how am I different than I was a few weeks ago, I got the Lover's card, and what I think this is saying is, and it's upright, which is good, and I do like this very lovely Lover's card. That's so pretty. I love the artwork on that. It's kind of 70s, you have to admit. But anyway, I think that what this is saying is I have a whole new appreciation of the people that I worked with on my job. I have a whole new appreciation of how we work together, what my role is in that company, and what their role is relative to me, etc. And maybe I'm starting to trust them a little bit now that we're all quite vulnerable in this situation. We've all been furloughed. Everybody in my office, just about 400 people, have been furloughed. So we're all trying to come together and support each other. We do trade supportive and encouraging messages on Facebook. That's something that I had never done before. It's very, very new. So, because, I have views that I think a lot of people I work with may be uneasy with. So I never really shared that with them. So there's that. Well, I just thought I would put that out there as a quick little reading if anybody would like to try it for themselves. Once again, the questions are, how are these days renovating me? What new thoughts am I thinking? What old wounds and fears are resurfacing? And how am I different than I was a few weeks ago before all of this started? So it may be worth for people maybe who are new at reading cards, maybe they could do a practice reading. It's 4 simple cards, and I think it makes a very good, very insightful type of reading. I just thought I'd share that with people. So hopefully I will talk to everybody later.